me ask you a question. What were your feelings on Obama's presidency?
I thought Obama was a good president.
Okay. Now, if you thought he was a good president, that means whoever he endorsed to be president after him, you would give that person weight, would you not, to succeed him?
Mm-hmm.
Since they were either part of his administration or was going to carry on the same agenda of the Obama administration, correct?
Sure.
Okay. What happened in 2016?
Yeah, Trump
with the election. Yeah. Now, Michelle Obama said she felt as though it was a slap in the face that blacks didn't come out and support who Obama endorsed. My question to you is, if Obama had such a great presidency and we as black people are supposed to support those that are supporting us and looking in our direction and helping us, what happened in 2016?
Well, I can tell you what happened. There's still a low voter turnout, but at the end of the day, Hillary Clinton won more votes than Donald Trump. The only way Donald Trump was like, and what we fail to realize is that he won through like an anomaly of political science that has only happened twice, I believe, with one, George Bush, and then two, him, is where by winning certain votes in certain locations, he was able to win the majority of the electoral college votes and then take that state. But in reality, overall,
the popular vote, I think.
Yeah, overall, the popular vote, Hillary won. Hillary got more votes than anybody in that entire election that year. So it's not that like people didn't believe in her. It's that certain sections, certain people didn't vote strategically, and she lost in some states by 10,000 votes. We're talking about the margin of error here, where it could have gone either way.
So then, are we saying that the Electoral College is to blame for this?
No. Well, the way it's set up now is actually doesn't make a lot of sense. But it's saying that.
All right, the Electoral College doesn't make sense, guys.
Well, yeah, it does make sense. But I'm trying to say, how come that same thing?
Because if that's the case, then what will happen is, let's say they remove the Electoral College, then politicians will probably only campaign in like 5 states.
Yeah,
they'll just target the state.
No. I didn't say that we should remove the Electoral College. I said the way it works right now doesn't make a lot of sense.
But what I'm saying is,
it should be proportional instead of
we put Obama in office, right? What did he not make moves strategically to win his candidacy? What put Obama in office?
I'm kind of missing your point here. So you're saying
trying to understand. I'm trying to understand.
I think what Dre's saying is, if Obama was such a great politician, then shouldn't we as a black community follow whoever he endorses? Because
a lot of people did. Is your point that Obama wasn't a great politician?
No, my point is, why, if you're saying that from a grassroots standpoint, we need to put our weight behind the people and the ideas that are going to be helpful for us and get money out of politics and this, from that standpoint, if black people were so cognizant and so appreciative of Obama's presidency, it shouldn't have been so difficult for us to come out in droves to continue that great presidency that he had by voting in Hillary Clinton. Why was the turnout amongst black Americans so abysmal when it came to Hillary? What happened? Are you trying to tell me that Donald Trump was the sole reason for that? Like, because he was this political genius?
I think a lot of people didn't. This is what I say. There's a lot of voter apathy across the board. It's not like 100% of black people voted for Obama. Even that didn't happen. What happened is a lot of people came out to vote for Hillary, but like I said, she lost in key areas that ended up losing her the Electoral College vote. But in any event, a lot of people did vote for Hillary, and even with Obama winning and winning twice, a lot of that same energy did carry on. It's just that it didn't go, the same energy and fervor for a black president wasn't felt for Hillary. So a lot of people didn't like Hillary for particular reasons, whatever. They just didn't care to vote, or they thought she's going to win anyway, so I don't need to show up or whatever. But it doesn't mean that a lot of people didn't take that same energy. And like I said, she got the most votes. She got the most popular votes in the entire country. And she won the states that she lost in the battleground states. She lost by small margin. So it's not like, oh, that if Obama was that great, why didn't people vote? People did vote. And what are we saying? Obama wasn't that great? I didn't even get the point.
I'm just trying to understand. You said voter apathy as if we just not taking initiative as a black society and voting enough.
Not only black, it's everybody. It's across the board. I'm saying in general, in our society. And what I said is it's possible as a way to beat corporate money is to defeat voter apathy and to get more people out to the vote. Do you know in the city of Boston, if the neighborhood of Roxbury went out to vote, the entire neighborhood, that neighborhood would control the whole city.
Okay,
if the number of people in Roxbury.
My point to all this is always, what is holding us back from using our power in that way? Why do we not do it?
People don't know.
They don't know what.
There's a lot of ignorance.
What don't they know?
There's a lot of ignorance to what politics is and to what politicians can and are supposed to do for you. People, every 4 years, we love to talk about the presidential election, when really what matters most is your local elections. In terms of your local life, it matters who's your city council, your mayor, your state reps. All those things matter, right? But we love to focus on just the presidential, which is misguided. A lot of people don't know. And if you don't know, you can't do better. So honestly, the conversation should be better.
In Massachusetts, is Massachusetts leans more conservative or more liberal?
It depends on the area of Massachusetts. I mean, we have a Republican governor, honestly, when you think about it.
He ain't really, I mean, he's a Republican light.
He's a Republican.
Romney.
He's a Republican.
Romney was a Republican.
Romney was a Republican.
Exactly.
But it's like, they're like the purple, I guess, because they're like, although they're red, they're touching blue, but they're still nonetheless Republicans. I classify Massachusetts as a blue state.
Behaved Republican.
Our electoral college always leans on
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying people are always saying how Boston is a racist city and it's tough for blacks in Boston, but what you're saying is the local elections matter more, right? Which is absolutely true. But if that's the case, what is stopping blacks, for example, within Massachusetts from getting out and making their situation better locally by putting in the right people? And from my knowledge, we have the majority of the leaders in, I'll just take Boston, they run left. From Presley to the mayor to the councilors, they all run left. They all promise everything under the sun, and they all run left.
Yeah, but you realize there's a whole spectrum. There's a whole spectrum there, right? So first off, you're talking about just leaning left or leaning right, right? There's a whole spectrum. Even within the Democratic Party, there's people who are further left, or what you want to call further left, or just even within that, there's platforms that apply to different people. So sure, you might have a Democratic mayor, but doesn't mean that Democratic mayor is the best for your situation, right? Because there are white people who are Democrats, there are other racists who are Democrats,
exactly,
and who could be racist. So it's not this simple breakdown of left, right, or Democrat, Republican.
Are we talking about people who are not racist? That's who we have to put into.
It's not just about not racist. It's not just.
It's all about interest, though. But not.
It's so complex.
I agree. Obviously,
it is. Yeah,
nature of politics, right? But you could be racist or not racist. But if your focus is in one particular group or one voting block, then you may neglect other groups. And in the process, you're just continuing on ignoring that particular group. That doesn't mean you're racist. It just means your priority is over here at the right. So you're going to disregard the people
my
in the left.
Point of earlier when you said you have to, the politician's job is to listen to every group and make them feel listened. At the end of the day, the politician.
Oh, that's not what I said. Listen, I'm saying is this. Their job is to lead. They are leading all the groups. However, for them to get into office, they have to make promises to particular groups that can get them in office. They're not going to waste their time with any group that doesn't come out and vote.
And are they making promises to the black community and successfully getting our
depends.
Vote? Like locally, have local politicians.
The turnout in local politics is non-existent, bro.
Yo, listen,
they really don't show up. They don't.
Okay, why? This is what I'm saying is,
you know why?
Can you say your point? Because I'm actually confused.
I'm just trying to understand. My point is this: like, if I'm listening to you, right, and you're making this argument that we're in such a bad place as African Americans, let's just take locally as in Boston. We're in a bad place. We need more help. We need to start off on a more level ground. We need programs. We need benefits. Okay, if we need all those things and we're in a bad place, where is the fervor amongst Black Americans within Massachusetts to be heard more and to carry forward the messages that you're saying we need to carry forward? Why is there no fervor for that?
There's a lack of organization.
Yeah, and I think.
And why is that?
Hold on, but I think there's another component, right? I always wondered this. I was like, how come politicians, like when you watch the news or like different websites or whatever, they don't necessarily tell you the date of elections, you know? And I feel like for Black people, right, in the community, they're not really dedicated to politics like that. So there should be a campaign where they get something in the mail that says, hey, this is the date of the election and vote for blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, and some of them, because some of the candidates can't afford to put thousands of dollars into marketing to mail stuff to everyone's home. I get it. I understand. So maybe these politicians need to adapt more guerrilla marketing tactics.
It's
maybe
not the politicians. It's us as the community.
No, I agree. But what I'm saying is, like, for example, right, like when Diddy did the Vote or Die campaign, it was successful. But Diddy he pumped, I think, like $2 million into that campaign. But we had a whole bunch of kids going like, I'm a vote, you know, like when he did that whole Obama or die thing. I remember I was in college when Obama got elected. That shit was crazy, you know, like
I think if
everybody voted. You know what I'm saying?
When your community is saying things like they don't trust their politicians and they don't know who to vote for.
Thank you. So then now people start losing trust in politics. So I feel like it's hand in hand. I won't even say politicians as of right now. I would say organizations, right? So political awareness organizations and nonpartisan organizations have to do a better job registering people, educating people on the importance of.
But they're trying. Well, at the very least, the Democrats are trying, because the Democrats are trying to get more people to vote. They're trying to stop voter suppression in certain areas and redlining and things like that, which limit the power of the Black vote. But what I want to say is this: in terms of the Black community, we need to stop looking at it at the lens as like these politicians are appointed by God. They're not. They're appointed by us. They're appointed by, we are the politicians. Any of us on this call can be a politician. The issue is there's a multitude of ignorance within the community and a lack of organization. Why? It's the fact that people don't know about the opportunities that we have if we came together and voted and put in a candidate. It's not about choosing the candidate. It's about putting somebody in. If we decided on a candidate from the early stage, in fact, we're too late to talk about 2020. We should be talking about 2024. If you were talking about a national level, you should start putting somebody up together and pushing them up. That's what other communities do, which we don't realize. In the neighborhood that I live in, our city councilman was Caucasian the last 2 terms. And he was caught saying that we've beaten these people of color and all these things.
We talked about it on the podcast. We talked about it.
Right, all these racist things, right? And my ignorance, I didn't even know I didn't know he was my city councilor up until recently. So then when I knew better, I decided, no, I'm not voting for that dude or his actual hand-picked selection. So we got to see that other communities are not publicly talking about this, because you don't hear them publicly talk about it. It's behind closed doors, and they're more politically savvy because they know the rules because they wrote them. So they know how it works. We need to learn these rules and become more politically savvy in terms of moving our own candidates up. It's not about just selecting the lesser of 2 evils. It's about picking our own hero. And then the only time you select the lesser of 2 evils is when it comes down to a point where it's like, all right, our guy lost, but okay, if that guy can say, look, I'll bring all my voters over if you promise us this, right? Then you get the endorsement. That's the whole point of an endorsement. And then you push that guy forward. At the very least, you get something. But it doesn't mean let the other guy win, or let the guy who has nothing to do with you or has no care about you win, because, oh, well, if it wasn't my guy, then it's nothing at all.
So my point is, how long has your position, that argument of we need more community organizing, more education about politics, how long has that argument been going on in the Black?
Yeah, but all right, got you. Easier said than done. Like, right? So
I'm asking. Yeah. So when you say got you, what does that mean? That means
very much what I'm saying is, I agree with you. It's a problem. It's an ongoing issue every election. However, that's the reality, though.
That's the work you have to do.
Yeah, it's like I remember when we was covering the local elections right here on this podcast. Even I was like, damn, yo, maybe like we should do something for the community and be like, hey, let's create marketing material or something to get the word out, you know, and say like, hey, you know what? These are the candidates here. Boom, 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 boom. This person's the pros and cons for Black people or this, that, and third, whatever. You know, I was thinking about a number of things that we could do, because at the end of the day, it's like when you look at like places like the NAACP, right, the chapters in Boston, they're older people. They're older Black people. They don't really have millennials, Gen Zs involved like that. So the groups that we do have in our community, they're not really hip. They're not really utilizing social media to the degree that they should be. They're not really connected to the younger generations here in the city. So these could be major factors on why Black people aren't really coming out to vote, at least locally here in Boston. It could be a number of things. So it's like we as a community need to come up with some solutions. But,
So, do you think that Biden's walking away with the black vote then, right there? You know what I mean, you think Biden got it, even though he's got the sexual misconduct accusations? His memory seems to be fading during the presidential campaigns. Whether or not we believe that his plan has any tangibles in it, do you think Biden's walking away with the African American votes?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think so. To be honest, so it's like,
I think he got it.
I think the real question is,
I don't think he's gonna get elected. He might get the black vote, but it's like how many of the black vote he's gonna get.
I don't know. I don't think he'll get elected.
The black people who show up, the majority will vote for him.
Exactly.
But the question is, how many people will show up?
Exactly. So I don't think he's really gonna get the black vote like Obama did. You know, I don't even think he's gonna get the black vote that Hillary got. To be honest with you, because he got 2 major strikes against. I think he got 3. To be honest, like that whole thing with this woman that's coming out now. I don't know. Like, I don't sleep. A lot of feminists are not going to support this guy. It's going to hurt him.
But even before that, like,
go ahead.
Let's look at why Obama didn't endorse him early enough. He just came out and endorsed him like 3 weeks ago.
No, he didn't endorse him because there was a primary. He didn't want to interfere. The plan was always to endorse whoever comes out of the primary.
Once it was clear Biden was the one, what took Obama so long?
What do you mean? He came out and endorsed him.
But it took him forever to even say a peep about Biden, to the point
because he can't interfere in the look. As a former president, first off, you're not even supposed to hear from former presidents. You're supposed to be really taking a seat back, right?
Come on.
No, because even Bush, after he came out, you don't say anything until you get the consensus that the people decide. Then you just come in and pat him on the back like, yep, that's my guy. Go ahead. You don't get into the squabbles because what happens if he endorses Biden and Biden loses? So then you're not endorsing the other person for president?
I mean, it happens all the time. It happens all the time.
From his perspective, he doesn't want to get into that quandary. He wants to focus on the guy who's going to be the presidential candidate for the party, right? Remember, it's our party winning versus the other party. So when our internal squabbles, I'm not going to get involved in that. When y'all decide who's the person, then I'll push that person forward.
So
and even what does it matter?
Do you think Obama would have endorsed Bernie Sanders?
If Bernie was a Democratic candidate, Obama would have endorsed him.
Do you not remember that Obama was sending cryptic messages about how we need to calm down with the extremism and how that's not the way to go? And people took it as him making a statement.
That's a lot of conjecture. That's a lot of pulling stuff out of air.
Okay. Conjecture. I mean, I'm not the one who said that. This was.
Yeah, but you're inferring a lot of things.
The Bernie bros and the news who were saying, why did Obama?
At the end of the day, he endorsed the Democratic National Party candidate. That's who he endorsed. Because the idea is, at the end of the day, you want to defeat Trump. You want your party to win. So I say the bigger question is then, why is Trump's numbers rising amongst blacks? What's rising? What are we talking about?
First of all, why is Trump's projected numbers amongst black voters, why is it that he's projected to have more black voters come this election versus less black voters?
So what are you talking about?
So I'm saying
a small amount of black people voted for him in the last election. You're talking about it was like 94% of black women and like 87% of black men. So what are you going to say? Like he got an extra, instead of 13% of black men, he'll get 14% this time?
Well, we don't know the exact amount. What I'm trying to say is why would it go up at all? Why should it go up at all?
I don't know the numbers you're talking about, and maybe you can educate me on why it would, but I don't think he's going to get much of the black vote that's going to matter. That's my point.
What I'm trying to say is that according to the media, if he gets a significant portion of the black and brown Latino vote, this will put him in a position that will be hard to mount from a Democratic standpoint.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. Trump's going to get reelected, yo. Let's not even play games, man. Biden got too many strikes against him, bro. Like, I can't wait to see them debates. When fucking Biden starts, his brain just starts forgetting shit.
Fire,
right?
It's over, bro. It's over. Like
the debate's gonna be fire.
I'm beginning to think like you know what? Fuck, I get
It's
it.
terrible.
Like, maybe Michelle might have to step in and just take his spot. You know what I mean? Because
That's not going to
A lot of
happen.
people-
It doesn't
Michelle
work that
could
way.
get
I
it.
know,
if she
but I'm
did it.
like, God damn, man, she might have a better chance than this dude Biden right now because his memory is bad.
This
His
is the
memory
case for Biden. I'll give you the case for Biden real quick, right? The case for Biden is not Biden himself. It's Biden's team, right? Because Biden and his own, first off, no president on his own. They're an executive branch, right? So they have to initiate a lot of other people into positions. What I like about Biden is that he's got all those candidates who are running and people like different ideas. Some people like Mayor Pete, some people like Andrew Yang, some people like Kamala Harris, whatever, right? All those people came behind him to endorse him. And when he wins, those people will be part of the establishment, right? And I think each of those people have good ideas. Then the other thing is whoever his VP is going to be a huge decision, because the fact of the matter is he's very old, right? And the VP might really become the president in his term. So if he picks a strong VP, that's also a case for Biden, right? Because the alternative is 4 more years of Trump and his shenanigans, right? So I think what people are looking at is not necessarily Biden versus Trump. It's the entire team behind him versus what's already there right
I know
now.
people like, yo, whoever's his VP, because best believe Biden's probably going to have to step down if he gets elected.
Also,
Due to
well,
the
and
fucking
I
his
have another
mind
question.
going.
I have another question. This is a question again about the black voter base and Democratic and the new kind of like Democratic wave of the angriness against old white men and things of that nature. So we had Kamala Harris, we had other women who were running, other black candidates who were running. How did Biden end up the nominee?
Because old people vote and young people don't. Bro, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Old black people in the South put Biden up because old people vote. Young people talk a lot online, but they don't.
But to
And
G's,
they don't
Especially when you hear that
but to
church
G's
is
point,
old black people.
all these younger, more tech savvy, social media savvy candidates put in a lot of work on social media, but yet they still fell behind.
All right, this let me explain, Dre. And this is, to me, I have to say hats off to Biden. Because if you notice, when the ADOS was popping 7 months ago and all of that stuff, and they were forcing candidates to respond to reparations and other issues in regards to the black community, everybody was forced to say something, with the exception of Joe Biden. He didn't have to say anything. And then when you watch those primary debates, he again said nothing. Most of the questions went towards Bernie Sanders. All of those debates were to smear his campaign, you know. And then you looked at Kamala Harris. Black people were doing research, digging up her DA resume. That shut
How
her
come they left Biden alone?
Huh?
This is what I'm saying. This is
No,
what I
because
don't get.
I'm being honest with you. I don't think people really thought that he had a chance. Like, literally, I think it was like 3 debates where I don't even think they asked him a question.
What
Like,
about,
they kind of like left him alone. Like,
what
it
about
was
Cory
literally
Booker?
Cory Booker. What happened to Cory Booker? Because there was a reason why people weren't rocking with him. I can't remember off the top of my
People
head.
just
But
look. This is a popularity contest. Now.
Solid. Like, you gotta understand. Like, and not to mention, no disrespect to Cory Booker. Like, but when people see him, like, he spews a politician. Everything about him,
you really
seems
do
fake.
just
like
come off
it's like a dude that you just can't trust. You know, so
I just well, this is what I'm saying. Like, I just find
and you remember, Cory Booker wasn't even gonna get the black church vote. Let's just be real. Like, he wasn't married.
it's just
There was a number of things that black churches, for some odd reason, they want to know about politicians.
Fuck this guy.
Pretty much. Like, they weren't rocking with him. So it's like the 2 black candidates that we did have, they weren't strong to begin with. And it's like, you had Kamala Harris talking about, smoking weed and jerk chicken and all that dumb shit. It's like, yo, come on. Now you're making fun of black culture. Like, you're using your Jamaican culture as a talking point to get elected. Like, it didn't even seem sincere. It seemed like what Hillary did with the hot sauce. It's just like, yo, stop it.
But Biden refused to come on to the Breakfast Club, and every other candidate did. He actually.
Smart. No. You know why? Because if he did go to the Breakfast Club, he wouldn't have got elected. He wouldn't be the primary candidate. He wouldn't
sound like someone you shouldn't trust.
So does it sound? But to me,
I agree with you. That's
let's be honest here.
His campaign, because strategically,
I think he's trying to get on now, though. From what I've heard, he's trying to get on.
Now that he has this black plan that he mustered up,
Mhm.
You're gonna see him on the Breakfast Club.
Hey, has Trump ever gone on the Breakfast Club? Like, this is my thing.
Because
We
Trump
focus,
knew his
focus on the
bases-
Democratic candidates, and we go through them with a fine-tooth comb, as we should. However, we don't do the same thing to the Republican candidates.
because they don't.
my
because
case is-
Republicans
they don't
need
care
our
about.
vote.
They
That's
don't. They
why
don't.
they don't need our vote.
And
Yeah.
and not neither
And
that. But
so, okay,
black
perfect.
people
They
don't
don't
care
need
about
our vote.
Republicans.
No, what? Black people don't care about Republicans. Don't care about black people. Who's supposed to care about who? The politics are supposed to care about the people, right? You're supposed
I'm
to
saying
get our vote.
black people put all their focus on the Democratic vote. They're not concerned of even putting anybody else to the fire because they're saying we want a Democrat and we want it
Because
to
the
be.
Republicans don't even look in there. The Republicans don't offer anything. You think any Republican president is going to talk about racism within the country? He's going to acknowledge that? It's going to upset his base. So they don't even. So why are we? So it's not. We know what you're trying to get at. The point is this: the only way to get the Republican Party to change is for them to realize we need the black vote to win. Right? Right now, they're like, we can skate by as long as black people don't show up to vote, as long as we marginalize their votes, as long as we redline them and do all this stuff, gerrymander, we can win per white vote, right? Because they're afraid of a white minority, right? So they're afraid of a majority of people of color, blacks, Latinos, and everything who aren't going to vote for them, right? So they're focused right now is like, look, we can still win. That's why there's all these immigration policies to limit people from coming in and, you know, the silent majority and all this stuff. White people are still the majority right now. But what happens when you get enough black people to vote and the Republicans realize we can't play on this race card anymore because they play the race card the most. We can't just play off of having, you know, our white majority and, you know, good old Christian, good old boy, whatever values. We got to start listening to these other groups or else we're not going to win.
Yeah,
That's
the
what
Republicans
changes
definitely
things.
came to that point.
That fundamentally changes the conversation now where it's really a two-party case. Because now the Republicans say, like, you know what, guys, you're right. We do need a black plan. Here's our black plan versus the Democrats. Here's why ours is going to do better. And then, but if you just let them run, like, this is the thing, Republicans also stay on code. They will vote for whoever's Republican no matter what. Democrats are like, no, if I don't get this and I'm not voting and I'm not get this. Republicans like, nah, yo, we stay on code. We're voting Republican no matter what. Even if
So,
this
I
president.
mean, it sounds like the problem is so much deeper than just getting the black vote.
How about this? Complex is technically right? Like they do stay on code. Why? Because their entire base, for the most part, evangelistic Christian white people from
being on top,
rural America. So yeah, that's why they're like always going to vote for the same old person. The Democratic Party, however,
even when they go against their values,
more diverse group of people. The Democratic Party literally looks like the Rainbow Coalition. So it's like, how do you get all of these people on board to all say, hey, you know what, we're going to support that candidate?
Yeah, but wasn't that was again coming to the issue that I said earlier about listening to a group and then trying to lead while, you know, and support all the.
Yo, all right, this is what you know what narrative fucked up the Democratic Party? Actually, I will say this is the ADOS movement, right? Because I feel like when the ADOS movement came out, it forced black people to like, yeah, you know what? I do want to see a black agenda. And then they started demanding things from Democrats. Because beforehand, it was more like, hey, you know what? Minority, minority, minority. And minority means black, it means Asian, it means everybody, right? So then everybody could get around that. But when you start saying like, hey, I want a specific agenda for black people, then it's like, all right, what do you do as a politician? A lot of these politicians were afraid to even acknowledge reparations. Then later on, they were saying, yeah, I'll give reparations. And they're like, yo, how would you do it? Oh, I got this initiative for low-income people, or I got this initiative for minority businesses, but none of them were reparations because everything that they said still catered to the masses.
So who outright said that they would give reparations? Outright.
What's her name? Marianne
Williamson said.
Marianne Williamson.
She said it. What's that dude's name? Tom
Williamson.
Something with an S.
Yeah.
Said it.
Look, I think
a lot of them actually said that they would give reparations. It's when they broke it down. Only two in the ones that we mentioned was that the Tom dude and Marianne
Steyer, that's his name. Yeah.
Only those two were like, nah, flat out reparations because this was a social injustice against African Americans. Everyone else was like, But again, these two people, one is an entrepreneur, the other one was like connected to Oprah. They don't really have like a political background. You know what I'm saying? So it's
once again, I think we're all focused on the wrong thing. Right now, as it stands, for president of the United States of America, it's either Joe Biden or Donald Trump. The question is, who's going to do more for you? Who do you think is going to have your best interests at heart, if at all? Who's going to be able to provide you with something? Does Donald Trump do that? Or does Joe Biden do that? It's simple at this point, right? And yes, you should hold Joe Biden's feet to the fire, but you should also hold Donald Trump's feet to the fire. Because guess what? That's how you use leverage. If it's not this, hey, Donald Trump, if you don't have a black agenda, Joe Biden just came out with one. Donald Trump, what's your black agenda? Oh, you don't have one? Guess what? Hey, black people, there's only one guy here who has even an inkling of a black agenda. So if we all show up and vote, we can get the other guy out, right? So when Biden wins, now the next term for 2024, Republicans again, what's your black agenda? If they don't have one, they're like, no, we're just going to keep catering to white people. Then once again, that's how you get the other team to turn on you.
If Biden's agenda is a black agenda, then technically Trump does have a black agenda, because a lot of the same talking points that Biden has in his agenda,
not the same.
Trump has done. Like,
so it's not the same. What's a full-throated? So why? But
that's what I'm saying. So it's like,
come out and say this is the black plan.
Yeah, because he can't say that. Like that's like,
because there's white people won't vote for him. So this is
not just white. I feel like it's not just white people. It's like, how, if you say that, aren't other groups going to start demanding that you come out and say specifically, yo, what's your agenda for undocumented, and only speak about undocumented only?
Undocumented people can't vote. What do you
really? I mean,
well, nah, stop it. Complex. This is where you're bugging. You know why? Because the Latin vote definitely want to vote in favor of undocumented people.
The
undocumented.
My statement was undocumented people cannot vote.
Yes. However, the people that they are closely affiliated with do vote. And so the Latinx community will want to see, undocumented people here in this country. So they're going to vote in favor of whatever candidate is saying, hey, we support undocumented workers or undocumented people here in this country.
Well, look, every president has to have an immigration policy, right? Or you can't just have open borders, right? You're not going to just have open people. But what you do have is understanding that, like, look, certain people who are here and your immigration status is in flux, right? Or you're here, you're working, you're not causing any trouble. What are we going to do with you, right? That's the question. That's what the whole point of is undocumented. It's not like, oh, yeah, let's bring in a lot of undocumented people. Nobody wants that. It's like, or how can
they're already here.
How can you change the immigration policy to work for people? Understanding.
No, but you say nobody wants that, but let's be honest here. There's a lot of the Democratic Party running, and I'll even say there's a lot of Republicans who are like, yo, the language is no borders, no walls, no USA at all kind of language, where they don't want any borders. They don't want any immigration enforcement. They believe this idea of let them all come in. It's all what's the term? Asylum seekers looking for a better life. You know what I mean? So the point, all I'm trying to hammer out with you specifically is you're saying to hold each candidate to the fire and say one candidate is going to have this, for lack of a better term, document and say, here's the black agenda. And therefore black people need to go, well, there goes the candidate that's waving the black agenda in his hand. So let's give him the attention. And the issue is going to arise that a lot of other groups are going to say, well, where's our agenda being waved around? You know what I mean?
But how's to say that they don't? Who's to say that they don't? Or that they're not?
I was going to say other groups definitely do. Yeah.
I'm not saying that they don't. I'm saying, how are you going to cater to all these groups? It's just not going to be possible. You have to have some type of base. I think that's what kind of fucks up the Democrats sometimes. They're just all over the place. First it's this, like it's one group, then it's this group, then this, and then they start to conflict with each other, where if you give too much attention to one group, another Democratic group gets mad at you for giving that group that much attention and saying certain things. I mean, we see it happen with the transgenders and the feminists, and to G's point, we see it happen with like how some black groups will get mad if Democrats put too much focus.
Oh, my man just froze. But
yeah, he did, yo.
Yeah.
Damn, we lost him, yo.
Yeah.
How about we just go to the next question? See that we take forever to go through
Nothing
questions.
really happens for anybody.
Oh, there you go.
Lost you a long time
We're all
ago.
at ground zero again.
Yo,
just like your Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Yo, Dre, you good? You hear me? Well,
Yeah, just go to the
listen.
next question.
The next question. In 2016, Diddy told the New York Post that Donald Trump is a friend of his. I always liked Donald Trump's style, or excuse me, Donald's style. He continued saying, as far as voting for him, that hasn't been seen yet. Fast forward to today, do you believe Diddy has a hidden agenda to get President Trump reelected?
No, I don't think.
I
I
wouldn't
think
say
that's
so.
silly. I don't think Diddy has a hidden agenda. I think the popular conversation right now, because Charlemagne has been doing it a lot too, is what is the tangibles or what is the black vote, right? Well, who is going to provide something? And I think that's a fair question. I think it's the right question to ask. I just think that black people in America need to have something specific towards them right now. Personally, I like to be more politically savvy and a little bit more behind the scenes as opposed to all the publicity behind it. And I think that you see a lot of groups do that. It's not so like you don't show all your cards out in public and be like, yo, this is this, you know, you got to have those conversations behind the scenes. But at the same time, I think it's fair. We should want something that's going to affect Black America. For me, the biggest issue is the wealth gap, right? How do we close the wealth gap? How do we make sure that Black Americans are full-fledged citizens in this country and have the opportunities to succeed that other groups have, right? Because we don't have that. So that's my particular thing. In terms of the candidates, yes, now Biden has come out with some, and we can debate that. What is best? Does it have everything? You know, it's still a conversation. He needs to add a few more things, perhaps. But my number one thing is at the end of the day, when I'm in that voting booth, it's two choices. It's binary, one or the other. You're not going to have everything. Perfect is the enemy of good. You're not going to have the perfect candidate. But can I have someone who's going to have the best for me? Can I negotiate? Can I have something? Can I get something? That's politics. And that's what Dre was saying. Oh, you have all these groups. Yeah, you're not going to make everybody happy, but at the very least, you can provide something. Oh, okay, I'll give you that if you give me this. But I can't work with somebody who doesn't even want to talk to me. If the Republican base is pro-white and all that, and, you know, Black people, we're not even going to talk about those things, I can't work with that. So that's my thing. It doesn't help me to have another candidate where it's a one-sided conversation. If the Republican Party doesn't get serious about working with people of color and minorities, then why should they even get our vote ever, right? It's at a point when they realize that they need that vote, which they were starting to get there. They were starting to get there because they started reaching out to like the kind of the Latino community. And remember, Latino is not all-encompassing. There's many other people. They're not a monolith. There's different types of Latinos. But like certain Latino communities to be like, look, we want to convert you guys into Republicans, et cetera. That's the kind of conversations we need. Republican ideals aren't all evil. You know, there are Republicans who are good. There's Republicans I would vote for. But you need to have a conversation where you're not just focusing on your base of, you know, poor whites who are racist, that we would just get their vote. You know what I mean? That's not going to work. We need to change those minds. We don't want that to be a persistent power in our American politics. So that's my point.
Yes.
Yeah, I rock with it. In regards to answering the question, I'll say that I don't believe that Diddy has a hidden agenda. However, because of his affiliation with Trump in the past, he shouldn't have made those statements about holding the vote for hostage, because it could blow up in his face. And so I felt like, although I do agree with his sentiment in that statement, he should have been the one to deliver it, even though it makes sense why he would be the one to do that. But it's, you know, everything's on the internet now. So like people could pull that up, just like when I created that question. You just do a Google search on Trump and Diddy and all of that stuff pops up. So then it's like, hey, bro, like, are you trying to get Trump reelected? You know, and even though I believe the answer is no, that possibility is still out there. I just feel like he should have never been that person.
I see what you mean. Yo, Dre, I know we lost you for a second. But,
yeah, my fault, man. Unstable over here, this internet connection.
So we're on the question about Diddy possibly having a hidden agenda to get Trump reelected. Do you think he has a hidden agenda? He used to be friends with them.
I don't know
friends with
that
them.
he's that sophisticated
To funnel a fuel plan to get Trump reelected back in office. Yeah.
I don't think Diddy's that sophisticated, you know.
Why not?
What's the purpose? What's his hidden agenda to get Trump back into office? I don't know anything about
Trump
Diddy.
do for him. Yeah.
I don't know anything about Trump and Diddy's.
No, I was just questioning the fact that you made it seem like Diddy's like a simpleton or something. I'm like, yeah, I mean,
I just don't. I mean, his whole political MO over the last 8 years has not been in the direction of anything that Trump is doing. So I just don't see why all of a sudden he's just going to change.
I don't know. It just seemed weird because
all
like
his
I'm gonna be honest
commentary
with
and
you,
all of his,
but what he
everything
did
has been
seemed
more
strategic.
in the direction of Biden.
I'll say this: like what Diddy did seem strategic. Even the fact that he wore like the shirt, the black shirt that said Africa on it, while making these statements. I understand he understands the power of imagery and marketing. So Diddy's not a stupid man by any facet of the imagination, right? So I have to believe all of this was by design. And so
you believe he said all of that so that Trump can get reelected somehow?
No. What I honestly believe is he said that to force the Democratic Party to create a black agenda, which now we have a black agenda, you know? And so I think Biden was probably afraid of people like Diddy, people like Charlemagne, who have platforms that people listen to. And when people, and I know like we shouldn't listen to celebrity, however, the truth of the matter is celebrities have power in our community, and celebrities could invoke a spirit within people to go out and vote. You know, Diddy has shown that in 2 elections. So I think we have to respect them to that degree where Diddy has that type of influence. And if I was a politician, like if I was Biden, I'd have been like, oh shit, you know what? I would be worried about going to the Breakfast Club, but I would probably be like, hey, let's schedule a sit down with Diddy and have my team record it. And then we can make a deal with Diddy and be like, yo, we could release this on Revolt. It could be an exclusive, but you have to ask me these questions and blah, 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 blah. And I guarantee you, a dude like Diddy will be like, yo, this is an opportunity to grow his network. He'll do it. You know what I'm saying? Because again, all of these guys are businessmen. It's kind of like the original statement that we read from Diddy himself when he's talking about it's business. It's only business, right? Like, what can we do to get Diddy on our side? If Biden didn't already do it, he's going to do it. He's going to holler at Diddy and say, hey, let's figure something out. Let's do an exclusive interview. It'll go out on your network, boom, 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 or Revolt. Everyone's happy. I get the black vote. You get ratings. Win-win.
Yeah. But yo, let's just read this last one then, because I think right off of that, it just kind of gives context of Diddy's background in politics. Sean Diddy Combs is the founder of the Citizen Change, a political service group that created the iconic slogans "Vote or Die" in 2004 and "Obama or Die" in 2008. His organization registers and educates young voters about the election process. He has also raised millions of dollars for this initiative. With this said, should the critics of Diddy's statement, the black vote will not be free this year, give him the benefit of the doubt because of his years of commitment to political empowerment?
Well, that's the point I was trying to make. You know, if he has all this, and let's be honest, it's not commitment to political empowerment in general, it's commitment to political empowerment for a certain party. And I just don't see why he's just going to all of a sudden switch that if that's been his MO for the last 8 years. And he has an organization dedicated to that MO. So I don't know. To me, it doesn't seem like that's something he's trying to do. But then you don't know. I mean, you don't know. It's like I look at Beyonce, how at the last minute when they thought Beto was going to be the nominee, she dropped some weird ass fucking video supporting Beto O'Rourke, you know? And a lot of people made the commentary. It was like, yo, the check just came in for her. That's why she made that endorsement, because when he lost, everybody was like, oh, well, how come you didn't endorse him sooner? You know? And it's just like, when it comes to politics and celebrity, you do have to be careful, because sometimes people say one thing out of their mouth and then they're doing something else behind closed doors. So,
yo, to add to your point, Dre, remember Tavis Smiley? He was a huge advocate for Obama, but when Obama got in office, the rumor is Obama didn't invite him to the White House, and he was so offended that he literally created like a book and started a whole nationwide campaign bashing President Obama.
Damn,
you know, so it happens, man. Like, yeah, it was him and
Cornel West,
both of them. And I was like, damn, yo, it's crazy that you got two black men hating on another black man. Yeah, just because they didn't get an invite to the White House. Well, so anything's possible out here, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Anything's possible, but I just feel like
I don't think Diddy. That's not what Diddy's trying to do. I think. Well, anyways, I think
I'm hoping Diddy's thinking like me, where it's like,
yeah,
Black people, come on, man. We got to come up with an agenda and hold them to the fire, because every year, like every 4 years, we do this.
Well, that's my point. Diddy is right. He has the right intentions, but it's misplaced at this time. This is too late for 2020. The conversation should be for 2024, right? What candidate are we going to put forward, or what are we going to do? You don't talk about a black agenda at the last 2 minutes before the end of the race, because now you're pulling together, scrounging it together. The conversation should have been, we need a candidate who's going to start off with the black agenda, and we push them all the way through as a unison. So him bringing this up now is just politically not savvy. And I think it's just a lot of also political ignorance, right? It's like, people, when you want things done, it's not done through the media, through the news like that. Certain things are, but really it's backroom conversations, or it starts way earlier. So the conversation should be for 2024 or 2028. Who's the candidate that's going to push the black agenda? Right now, it should be.
I almost rocked with you, but then you're saying for another fucking 4 years, black people got to stay behind. I'm cool.
Are they going to stay behind though?
I'm cool with holding the vote hostage right now, because although it may seem like this is the fourth quarter, it still forces them to come up with something, because elections is in November. So we have all summer for the Democratic Party to come up with something that we as a black community could be like, yeah, you know, we rock with this. Biden, you earned our vote.
To have real change, though, I think it needs more time. But in any event, he's come out with a plan, some sort of plan. As far as I understand, Trump doesn't have one just yet, right? But as it stands, with this plan, does that mean that he's done enough to warrant the black vote?
I mean, he put some words on paper, man. Like, to me, that's not.
I'm be honest with you. I read the shit and I was like, nothing exclusively is focusing on the black community.
If when you come into office, anybody can say anything. Actions are what matter.
Agree. Well, he's not the president.
This is why I disagree with Dre. Because Dre, I hear what you're saying, but however, to get into office, you have to make promises. That goes to any politician.
Yes, you're right. But hold on. Let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Did Trump make any promises to black people when he came into office? Did he make any definitive promises?
No.
Right? But yet he made a simple statement of, what do you have to lose? That was basically his whole argument. What the hell do you have to lose?
Look at my African American over there.
What do you have to lose? Yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
that's one for props, yeah.
And then
is that a plan? So
that's from a plan. Well, because you know what it is? I don't believe anything he would have said as a specific plan anyone would have cared about or rocked with. Just because the media was in such a frenzy that anything he would have said, remember when he first started, it was like, oh, this is the guy behind the Central Park 4, and it was like all about how racist he was. Central Park 5. I don't think anything Trump said would have made a difference when it came to the black community.
Well, the thing about Trump is that he would never even acknowledge that, like, yo, I was wrong. Guess what Biden did to talk about the 1994 crime bill? He was like, I was wrong, and I can
had
do
to
better.
say it though, because
he had to get elected.
Because he wants the black vote. But if Trump doesn't want the black vote, he's never going to do that. This is my point. This is what people aren't seeing. At least Biden, what do you want to say? He's lying. He's whatever. He's making some sort of effort. Trump is not. Why is Trump not making an effort? Because he doesn't need our vote, because he's focusing on the white vote. So how is that going to help us?
Complex, this is where I do disagree, because I've literally watched him do 3 State of the Unions where he literally wasted the majority of his time literally talking to African Americans.
This is BS feeding you the
I agree.
Unemployment,
but I agree.
Whatever.
It could be BS, but however, let's say it is.
What's the plan? How is he doing it?
What's the difference between that and Biden's? I'm being honest, has a bullshit plan. Fucking lift every voice and see the plan. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay,
bro, I would say
like a slap it off face.
No, it's not, because guess what? Like I said, you either useful or you're useless. If I can't use you, if I can't even have a conversation with you, I can't do nothing with you. If I can't talk to Trump, if Trump is like, I'm not even talking about a black agenda because I don't really need to have one, then guess what? That's useless
for the
black community.
That's a lie, because you know why? Trump invited a lot of major prominent black figures to converse with him in his office. Everyone from Steve Harvey to Kanye West.
Black celebrities?
It doesn't matter. Black celebrities. How can you?
Yeah, that. But I will say this.
How can you say black celebrities, but then we're talking about Diddy and
I said we shouldn't be. Diddy shouldn't be the political leader of black people.
It doesn't matter what we say. The truth is the truth.
In Dre's defense, he also sat down with several different HBCU presidents. And literally, you can look this up. They're all in favor of Trump's plan, you know, because Trump did pump millions of dollars, like millions upon millions of dollars towards HBCUs, you know, and on top of that, he even allocated funds for other universities where their campus is majority minority. He also gave them funding.
So he's throwing them a bone. He's throwing them some money,
which is true.
right?
However,
which is great.
Debating, but what I'm saying is, let's say Biden and Trump are now debating on that platform together, right? And a question about the Black agenda comes up, right? Trump could easily be like, yo, your plan is just similar to my plan. The difference is I'm doing it now while you're promising to do it.
First off, they're assuming that's his entire plan, right? And then second, that's one thing.
We're literally looking at it right now. Like,
yeah, there's more to Biden's plan.
That goes like, oh my God, I don't see any.
But does it,
Black people? This is what we got to do.
Gun to your head, Trump or Biden?
What you mean, gun to my head, Trump or Biden? Yeah, Trump. I might pull a Diddy. How about that? You know what I'm saying? Gun to my head, I might not show up.
No, then that's a non-vote. But that's the thing. There's a winner at the end of the day, a winner and a loser. So either you get to be a part of it or you don't. But at the end of the day, there's a guy who's going to be leading the country.
I need to see what the Green Party is throwing out, because if the Green Party got somebody, I might.
So you're fine with Trump winning again? You're fine with Trump winning again?
Yo, listen, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Like, I don't see a difference in my life or in African Americans' lives or Black Americans' lives.
You're part of a country.
Yeah,
maybe you're not personal life, but in the terms of the country.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, this is what I'm saying, right? Again, I always bring it back to a Black agenda. So now, whether Trump is in office or Biden's in office, how does Trump negatively affect the Black community, and how does Trump Biden positively affect the Black community?
Hey. First off, Trump has done so much. It's like, I went through a lot of this in the last one.
We'll start one at a time. What did he do so much that's negatively affecting the Black community?
How about this? When Obama was in office, he removed the availability of private prisons to exist. When Trump came into office, he immediately rolled that back. And now private prisons are growing in mass numbers. One issue in the Black community is over-policing, right? And high incarceration rates. So when you have a president who's purposely trying to get more private prisons, which are for-profit institutions, into these neighborhoods, and then you have the previous administration was trying to pull those back, that's a difference in the Black community. So in my eyes, I don't want a president who wants for-profit prisons and is going to have over-policing in our neighborhoods. And when we cry and say, yo, this is racism, they're like, the Republican Party
makes sense to me.
Has nothing to do with the president, and we know that.
No, but the private prison,
private prisons
is a for-profit.
Over-policing.
It's all tied. It's all tied because the prison needs prisoners, right? Mm-hmm. So how do they get prisoners? When they work with the local police officers, when they look with the local police departments and the local DAs and the judges and things like that.
Yo, you know what? I'll give you that talking point.
Okay,
however, so you know what he's gonna say? Well, you know, I did provide prison reform, especially in regards to rules and this, that, and the third. You know,
the first step program or whatever.
Yep.
The First Step Act, by the way, and it's saying that it's about 3,100 inmates to be released as Trump administration implements criminal justice reform. It's like, on the one hand, people get angry that Trump's not doing enough. But then on the other hand, when things do happen, people try to dismiss it as, oh, that's petty, that's nothing. When it's like, is credit going to be given or it's not going to be given? Like, which is it?
He gets credit, but let's take a full picture. It's not as simple as the First Step Act. First off, when you look into the details of that, a lot of those people aren't technically free. They're still on probation. So sure, you're out of maybe that particular jail, but you're still caught up in the system, right? So any little mistake, you can be sent back to jail.
Yeah, but we don't know the criteria for their crimes in the first place.
Man, I'm gonna keep it 100, yo. As long as you out the belly of the beast, I think you'll be happy. You know,
it's better, but that's not. But at the overall, though, you're doing that. So this is the thing. We look at that. You did this with your left hand. You're doing this with your right hand. So you're showing us this First Step Act, but at the same time, you're having for-profit prisons. Can't we have both? Why is it that these for-profit prisons are being allowed to exist? Why is it that he's putting in federal judges who have questionable ass histories. He's supporting candidates in cities and counties that have super racist backgrounds and histories. You're putting them into positions of power, especially with the Supreme Court and the federal court system.
But complex, you're talking
and that
about
all matters
Biden,
in years.
the same one who wrote those 3 strikes.
Come on, man.
I'll be honest. It sounds crazy, but it's like, I'm telling you, during those debates, it's going to be really bad for Biden to win. Trump is going to ether this dude, bro. It's going to be disgusting. I'm being honest with you. Like,
that's
not a good look
in terms of Biden. In terms of Biden winning a debate, he's because he can't keep it together. I'm not saying Biden.
If he says Trump, you're racist, it's like, oh really? Boom, pulls out the resume.
But like I said. And like I said,
the same thing happened to super predator Hillary.
Perfect is the enemy of good. That's the thing. Perfect is the enemy of good. Is Biden perfect? No. But is he better than Trump? Yes. That's my point, right? Because when at the end of the day,
how?
Yeah, go ahead. Explain that question. Answer that question.
How? Because one, Biden actually has a plan for black voters. Biden actually has a plan that's going to help the middle class of actual working voters. This is take a race out of it as well. I want a candidate and I want a party that's focused on the working class and getting people the support they need. That means higher education, get greater access to higher education, meaning more grants for public institutions, right?
I didn't see that on the that's
not the black plan, but as part of his. This is a general democratic platform, right? It's for higher institutions. One, some sort of loan forgiveness, and then 2, access to community colleges, 4 state colleges to have low cost higher education. This is something that we need as a society. This is my point, right? I don't see that on the Republican side. I don't see the Republicans looking to get more people into universities, more people into fair housing, things like this. This is my point. So this is why people generally vote down ballot. Like, do we want to be critical of the Democrats? Fine. But let's be critical of the Republicans as well. Like, really, seriously take a look at them. And the question is, who's going to do more for you, right? So that's my point. Are the Democrats perfect? No.
Can I ask you a question, Complex? Based upon what Diddy said, right? Let's just say he said, "Oh, we holding it hostage against both the Democrats and the Republicans." Would you be more willing to accept that?
No, you guys are missing it. You can't not be a part of it. You have to have a voice, because if you don't show up, because guess what? This is what happens. If black people don't show up at all, let's say 0% of black people vote, I bet. Then the next election, they're like, well, why do we even need to talk to black people? Maybe the Democrats need to start looking at some of those racist white folks because they go out and vote. You get me? You need to give them a reason to
This is where me and you disagree, because I do believe that they'll be like, damn, we missed out on a large chunk of our base. All right, you know what? To prevent this from happening again, we're going to have to concede on some things. I think that's what's really going to happen.
They already try to concede on things.
Out of nowhere, immigration just starts flooding into the United States, and the black vote literally doesn't matter anymore.
It's not.
Until then, we still have power. Like, we still have influence on.
If you don't vote, you don't have power, because if you don't vote, you're not useful.
Hold on. However, all right. So how about this? Imagine if all black people said what you said initially. We all go to vote, but we just put a name in on the ballot, right? What's the difference between that and saying, "Yo, we're strategically staying home"? It's the same thing, same outcome.
Well, one, if we all chose an actual name, that would bring noise around that name, and that person might, in the next election, become an actual candidate, right? Because that's a voice. That's a voice of people speaking, or they might have some sort of, if we decided that, we could do that at a smaller scale. We could do that at the city level. We could get governors into power. We could get mayors into power. So that's my point, is that you have to have a unified voice, right? You have to do something. You can't, if you do nothing, then that means, I don't know if you're angry. I don't know if you don't care. I don't know anything.
Yeah, but see, Complex, that's the point, right? You're a passionate dude. You have a lot of great ideas. You have a lot of great points. But what a lot of cats like you, I think, suffer from is that you don't understand human psychology doesn't always play by your rules. And the fact of the matter is, people are, for lack of a better word, they're followers. They're sheep in many ways. And so we're kind of like outliers, where we have these great ideas and we have certain things that we want to implement. But on a mass scale, people tend to go with the celebrities, the singers, the ones who are giving them the candy handouts that they feel like they could benefit from. And so
it's ignorance. Yeah, it's ignorance.
it's ignorance to a mass degree. And so it's like we could sit here and go in circles, but at the end of the day, in a larger scale, it takes something real massive to shift paradigms like that. You know what I mean?
Shout out to Biden's marketing team for calling it "Lift Every Voice." I think that's the only thing I got to say on Biden's.
Yeah, that fucking shit is so disrespectful.
Lift every voice.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, dog. You gonna call it after the Black National Anthem?
But you realize there's black people in his team that would have helped come up with that. We focus on the wrong things, dog.
Yeah, but he's the face. He's the face. Even if black people came up with it, he's the face.
Yeah, I think he does have to be strategic because here's where Biden is stuck. He's stuck in between the older black vote and like everybody else, the younger and everybody else. You know what I mean? Like I think the other thing that got Obama in office, it wasn't just a black vote, it was the brown vote. You know what I mean? A lot of Indians voted for him, a lot of Asians voted for him. He like brought things together with the whole change and hope, blah blah blah.
Obama had the world.
Yeah, he just had everybody on his back. You know what I mean?
The world, son, that's crazy. The world were like, yes,
put him in office. You know,
it's
and
a popularity contest.
Biden is just
nobody gives a fuck about Biden.
You know, he's got the old heads, but. And no one else really cares about Biden, you know what I mean? And so when he does things like lift every voice, I think that's when I'm like, yo, he just needs to be a little more strategic.
Yo, that motherfucker definitely say, yeah, I'm going for the black church.
Yeah, with that name, he definitely went directly for.
Look, you know what? We should just go let's just go all the way. We already had Donald Trump as president. We have a reality TV. Fuck it. Oprah, you're up. Let's go. Let's go, Oprah. We need.
I'm waiting for Kanye.
That's essentially where we're headed. That's essentially where we're headed, and that bothers me. Is that we're like, we agree that yes, there's a lot of ignorance and it's a popularity contest. My point is that it shouldn't be that way, and we could do better, right? I understand people vote for who they know.
Y'all fucked it up. You Democrats fucked it up. Elizabeth Warren should have been the fucking.
Elizabeth Warren definitely. I
voted for Elizabeth.
Yo, I'm be honest.
I was with Elizabeth. I ain't gonna front.
Yo,
you want to talk about plans?
The way she did. What's his name from New York? Remember how she?
Bloomberg.
Not.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The way she eat the Bloomberg, bro, she would have done the same thing to Trump, and then people would have been like, we might have to vote for her. You know, like she had the strongest chance.
Yeah.
She would have had the progressives.
Yeah.
She would even had like the more conservative.
She had a plan
Democrats.
for everything. Literally.
That's what I'm saying.
I was honestly with Elizabeth here.
I'm being honest. I'm gonna be real. Even though I think Bernie was too radical, too extreme for the country. Like, even if he ran, I would have entertained it because now I think about it, I'm like, man, I don't know what's about to happen, yo, with these robots, bro. I'm being honest, man. You know, I'm not trying to sound robophobic, but shit about to get real. It's about to get real. It's about to get real.
Yang had the plan for that.
Yang, yo, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, damn, I kind of feel bad. I used to violate Yang. Oh, man. I feel.
Anyways, but guess what? Guess which candidate out of Trump and Biden has those people at least on his side?
Yang ain't fucking with none of them, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yang endorsed Biden, bro. They're all
out of necessity.
I don't know, man. Because I remember he did throw shade on CNN.
At the end of the day, there's only one candidate. All those people you said you liked, Warren, Sanders, Yang, they all endorse Biden. So if you care,
that don't mean
like
shit.
Elizabeth Warren.
They did it because they
just want him out. That's why I want him out. Yeah,
but they also didn't. So
why do they want? Why do they want Trump out? That's my.
Because he's a Republican.
Because he's dangerous. Because he's dangerous to have in power. I mean, look.
Listen.
I can't force anybody to do anything.
Saying. I actually understand what you're saying, but it's really. I think it's like he's dangerous to who, right? And then so. When you're looking at the black community, and that's why I liked what Van Jones was saying, like Democrats, you better be focusing on what Trump is saying right now because he's slowly gaining the momentum within the African-American community because he's saying, yo, pretty much his talking points benefit African-Americans. It doesn't necessarily benefit the Latino community or even the Asian community, right? But it does benefit African-Americans. So African-Americans are kind of like, he's talking to me. That's the difference. That's what
Trump
I'm saying.
Is talking to you?
Do you watch the State of the Union speeches from Trump?
I listen briefly.
Yo, listen,
honestly.
all right,
I don't
all
like
right.
listening to BS for too long.
That's why. All right, if you started listening to them things, you gonna be like, all right, yo, G. You got
But you realize every president does that. It's a State of the Union. It's
they don't.
every
I watched President Obama's speeches as well, and he doesn't cater it towards black people.
Well, he's already black, so he ain't got to put in the extra work.
Maybe you're right. Because he automatically has the skin color, he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Every president is trying to, in every State of the Union, says everything is great, nothing to worry about. Our economy is strong. Our country is strong. It's like literally a rewording of that statement. Our country is strong. So
yeah, but Trump had proof. He had proof.
Trump.
You can't argue with that economy, dog. He had
What the stock market? The stock market going up?
The stock market is a reflection of the economy.
No, it's not. It is not.
Okay. So when all the small businesses and everything happened with COVID was the first thing that happened in the stock market.
Have you do you follow the stock market?
Here and there. I'm not
there. Okay, I'll tell you then. I'll tell you what just happened. The other day, I can tell you what just happened. The other day, we just had the highest unemployment ever in history.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
No, hold on. And let me tell you what happened to the stock market. It went up.
Yeah, I don't know.
How is that the economy?
But you got to understand, it didn't go up because we had the highest unemployment. It had to be based on some type of policy or something.
No, it doesn't. That's the thing. That's what people who don't understand. The stock market is illogical. It doesn't go off of a structured, this happens, so this will happen. No, it's a complete casino.
Makes a statement
it's a complete casino.
It has
complex. I'm just curious. Why did it go up? Because I was thinking the same thing.
It went up.
Fucking the economy's to shit.
Because the stock market doesn't go on the general economy. It doesn't care what the people over here are doing. It's about how can I make some money today? It's a casino. This is what people don't realize. It's not like a well structured out thing. Everybody assumes like, a stock is fairly valued because the market is always logical. It is completely illogical. Tesla is at all-time highs because people like Elon Musk. When you look at Tesla's financial statements, it makes no sense. Tesla is more valued than Ford, GM, and every American car maker combined, yet they come out with a fraction of the cars. So that just goes to show that the stock market is illogical. So don't tell me that the stock market is going up. That means the entire economy is great. It's not. The stock market is going to do well for what makes them the most money. And the most people who have the most influence on the stock market is actually the top 1%. That's it.
Complex. Watch your mouth when it comes to Tesla because I got Tesla stock. I also got Ford stock, but my Ford stock been looking suspect lately. So
yeah.
You know what I mean? That's cool, but that's cool and all. But this is my thing. This is why I said last one too. I have stocks. I have money in the stock market, but I'm not gonna fool myself and think that the stock market going up 10% means I can retire tomorrow. No, your little couple thousands or whatever in the stock market is not. In the grand scheme, I would much rather something that's going to be beneficial for everybody or for the whole middle class, for people that are going to be able to survive, because that's how we need to keep society balanced. It's not about like, I won in the stock market today, so congratulations. Bro, your little couple $100s, thousands of dollars, there's billions with a B. If you don't understand the difference between like I think 1 million seconds is like 11 days. 1 billion seconds is 34 years. That's the difference. Most of us ain't even touching an M, let alone M's, let alone B's. So
I don't know about y'all, dog. I don't know what you talking about.
Yeah, shut up, Dre.
I hope you do. I hope you do. But you know what?
I hate when niggas be.
I'll bring all y'all
flagging
in my cabinet, dog.
Cabinet. This is
like
Dre 2050.
This is why other countries
all suspect right now. You talk about M. Shut up.
I didn't say I had M's. I didn't say I had M's just yet. Watch.
No, this is the point, right? The difference between America and European countries is Europeans understand we're not going to be rich. They don't have this American dream that you just work hard and you're going to be rich too.
Yeah, I'm
going to vote Republican. I'm going to vote Republican because maybe one day I want to have a lot of millions and I want to keep that money too. It's a facade. It's a pipe dream. Most likely, you're not going to be rich. So what is going to be in the best interest of you and your family for everybody, your neighbors, your community? It's going to keep things stable. That's my point. I hope I become a billionaire someday. I would love that. But realistically, I'm not voting for somebody who's going to cater to Republicans because I'm not a billionaire yet, right? And I'm more likely than not never going to be there. So that doesn't interest me. That's not going to cater to me.
Right.
I agree.
That makes sense.
I think we could all
Nah, ain't no we can all, dog. Y'all can have that, son.
Listen, man.
We're gonna head on a realistic.
Trying to go on a good note.
All, dog. Grade 2050, son. All y'all got
Grade
places in my
2050.
cabinet, dog.
All right, billionaire.
I'm gonna bring all y'all in. No worry.
Yo, I'm gonna appreciate the ticket when it come. You know what I mean?
Not crazy, man.
Yo, listen, we can wrap it up. That's it, man. That's it. We can jump out of here.
Never Trump.
Never Trump. Yo, figure it out. Oh, y'all think we're gonna vote by mail or online this year?
I don't know. It might be by mail. It might
Probably mail. Yeah, I think California just made it an executive order that you could vote by mail. That's probably the.
Did they?
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I'm worried, because Democrats love that scammy shit. Mail it in.
Republicans just don't want people to vote. They thrive off of us staying home. That's the other thing. Republicans love when black people talk about not voting. They're like, yes, good, because guess what? We're gonna show up and vote, dummies. You know what I mean? You're dumbasses.
Yeah, a lot of dead
guess
people.
What white people? Hold on. Riddle me this: what white people ever say? I'm not gonna vote. I'm gonna hold my vote hostage. Whoever says that, you ever hear them say that? No, because they know I'm gonna show up and vote. And especially if I'm a Republican, I'm voting on code. I'm voting for who looks out for me. Get that flag out of here.
Conflicts confused you. He's like, I don't even
show up at City Hall with
a lot of white Democrats though too.
We can't do that dumb shit. So I don't know, man.
Hey, listen, we'll see what happens, yo. That's it. Listeners, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for caring. All right. Make sure you go to upanicd.com, upanicd.com. Go down until you see join the convo. I can't talk today.
Yo, you fucked it up, man. You mastered that shit for like 80 episodes, man. You panicked.
That's it, yo. Pay attention to us. You know what I mean? YouTube, all of that. It's You Panic. You know. Talk to y'all next week.